Hey there, welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820, WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Now, I don't consider myself a comedian, but I have to dabble in the comedic space because I am in a form of showbiz here. Now, there's journalists and real serious people all around me, but I'm the guy that gets to make jokes. I'm the guy that gets to try and make you laugh. I don't have to be credible. I can say goofy things. And it is with that when I hear the Seinfeld clip where he talks about the death of TV comedy. Now, he's just talking about TV series here, but did you hear this? And he explains kind of why TV comedy is dead.
It used to be you would go home at the end of the day. Most people would go, oh, Cheers is on. Oh, MASH is on. Oh, Mary Tyler Moore is on. All in the Family's on. You just expected there'll be some funny stuff we can watch on TV tonight. Well, guess what? Where is it? Where is it? This is the result of the extreme left and PC crap and people worrying so much about offending other people. Mm-hmm. Now they're going to see stand-up comics because we are not policed by anyone. The audience polices us. We know when we're off track. Mm-hmm. We know instantly, and we adjust to it instantly. But when you write a script and it goes into 4 or 5 different hands, committees, groups, here's our thought about this joke, well, that's the end of your comedy.
Have you had that experience?
No.
Because isn't that what Curb is all about?
Yeah. Larry was grandfathered in.
All right, so let's ask a comedian about that. One of the biggest comedians in the Dallas area, Dean Lewis, is my next guest on the James Show. Welcome, Dean Lewis, and your thoughts on the Seinfeld quote that TV comedy is dead.
Hey, well, first of all, hey, James, thanks for having me on. And when are you going to play my Metallica request? So the whole Seinfeld thing, I think it's really great. I think it's pretty much spot on that, at a comedy club, the audience is going to tell you right away, but this comedy by committee never works. It just never works.
So
because you're trying too hard to pander, and it just doesn't seem genuine. Going on and on and on.
Well, I never think comedy is going to die. There's always going to be a place for it. But I think he is right that the when you push down on the comedy that's coming out of TV shows, that's going to go elsewhere. You know, there's almost like this law of conservation of comedy. And if you're not going to do it on TV, people are still going to seek it out. And it has been my observation that stand-up routines and stand-up shows are something that all of us watch now. I don't remember when I was a kid, this many people saying, hey, did you see the new Louis C.K. or did you see the new Dave Chappelle or did you see the new, what's the other one, the Nate Bargatze that had a good one that just came out? People are talking about comedians more than I remember in years past, and I think it's because of this.
Yeah, I think you're right. Also, it's so every place out there, Netflix, Showtime, everybody, they're just starving for content. And stand-up's been working on their hour for a few years. It's easy just to, hey, let's go film that and plug it in. And there's a lot of great comics. But yeah, it's you said it exactly.
Well, I also like the fact that if you do get into stand-up comedy as opposed to a TV show, there's sort of an actionable element. Like if stand-up comedy is your bag, well, guess what? On a Friday night, you can actually go out to a comedy show or, on a Saturday, or there's actually something to do with it rather than just stay on your couch. It's more immersive. There's actual experiences involved with it. When you go to a comedy show, you can actually somewhat interact with the comedian, even if it's just laughing. If you want to go to the level of shouting something or heckling or being called up on stage to be his, magician sidekick. I kind of like the seeing people get involved into stand-up comedy because it's better in my experience than a TV show.
It's a great date. It's the best. Even if you've been married for 50 years, it's fun to go out and be with the crowd and laugh. And, plus a lot of these comics, afterwards you can take pictures with them. You can buy their T-shirts. So it's very interactive, and everyone always predicts, well, stand-up's going to die, and I've been hearing that for 30 years. So, yeah, it's very interactive. You're right.
So one thing that I think a lot of us have put as a cultural landmark in the rearview mirror that I think we should put in the windshield is Blazing Saddles. How many times have you heard as a comedian, well, I think we kind of peaked around Blazing Saddles and it could never be made now because, PC and woke. And I think we should look for the Blazing Saddles, and we can recognize that we have gone out of this terrible phase, non-comedic phase, when we can make a Blazing Saddles again, because I firmly believe that the pendulum will swing back the other way and we will reach that again.
I think it will swing, but who has the guts to try that? Even Seinfeld, look at his series. I was watching something today about how there's an episode where Kramer got a bunch of homeless people to run rickshaws for him or something like that. And who could have the guts to do a show like that today? But in 5 or 6, I don't know when you think the pendulum will swing, but eventually it'll go back. But you got to find someone who's got the guts to do it. And I think everyone's so safe, they're afraid.
Yeah, I have younger kids, and I see, every generation thinks the lamest thing in the world is what their parents like. And I think this generation that's coming up now thinks the lamest thing in the world is woke and PC rules on their speech and on their conduct and how they can talk to each other and what they can wear and what movies they can watch and what music they can like. I think I think this next generation, this Generation Z, I'm pretty optimistic about them saving us from some of this.
We'll see. I mean, yeah, we'll definitely
That is
see.
not a shared optimism, Dean. You can say, no, you're wrong, James.
No, because I'm just thinking of my kids who my sons, they don't even watch TV. They don't even think of movies. They don't even, they spend all their days looking at their phones. And, when I come in, they always hide whatever they're looking at. But they still want to laugh. They still want, So I think, there's going to be, what I'm saying, James, is why don't you make a Blazing Saddles for 2026? Why don't you make that movie? Oh,
because I'd get fired tomorrow. That's why.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Everyone's so afraid.
I'm a coward. That's why.
Well, we got to have somebody who's got, and the talent. I mean, anyone can make a movie, kind of these days, but you got to find someone who's got a vision. And as a Mel Brooks, which one of those guys comes around once every 70 years. They're rare. So, what I'm hearing, James, is you and I are going to go to a movie soon and watch it and laugh with everybody else because it's going to be so controversial. We just got to find somebody to do it.
Well, it seems like that whenever you have people who are trying to control speech or trying to put on some sort of moral puritanism on the public sphere, that, that's who the rebels are going to push back against. And that's what Howard Stern made his career doing, was making people uncomfortable because he was pushing against social mores. There's going to be another Howard Stern that pushes against this PC stuff one day. I just hope it's sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
And I would like to point out something that you do. You do these comedy workshops. You're not just a comedian. You're kind of like the mentor, one of the mentors of the Dallas comedy scene. And you have a workshop that's coming up Monday. And look, I know you don't want, not you, but the guy listening to us, Dean. I know you don't want to be a professional stand-up comedian. You already have some job and you like doing it. But it's a good hobby. It's a good skill. And I can't stress how important it is to be able to tell a story, to be able to tell a joke, to be able to get in front of a crowd and hold their attention and have them follow you and not look dumb and not stutter and be fluent in it, because it doesn't just apply to comedians. If you're a guy who has to make a sales presentation, going to this comedy class will make you a better salesperson. If you're some corporate bigwig who has to pitch, I think we should start a new esports division and you have to give a presentation, you should do it. If you're a teacher, if you're a professor, if you have to do any kind of public speaking, politician even, going to one of these classes would make you better. Period, point blank, end of story, whether you want to become a comedian or not. Something that's sorely lacking is people's ability to talk to a crowd and do public speaking. And what you do, I just can't recommend it strongly enough for people, because it helps you far outside of comedians. It is not just for comedians. Anybody who has to speak in their job, this is a good class to take.
Well, thanks, man. Yeah, it's starting this Monday. And let me add that, there's 6 classes. And then at the end, you're going to actually do a show at the Improv. Everybody who's in the class will get to do a 6-minute set at the Addison Improv, which can be filmed. And, I'll say this, anyone who contacts me, I'll give the information in a second, but they mention they heard me on this show or they heard it on your show, then I'll give them $100 off the price.
Yeah, and look, full disclosure, Dean and I are friends. I worked with him about 20 years ago. I mean, we didn't work next to each other, but we were on the same station for a little while there. And then I found out here just last year that he was doing these workshops still. And I'm like, well, as a talk radio host, I'm dumb to not take the class. This has to be good for me. And now that I took it, I just can't recommend it strongly enough. I mean, how to tell a joke, the basics. There's archetypes, there's formulas, there's structures. And, once you take it, you see other comedians do it. But I just marvel when I see the surveys of everyone's number one fear is public speaking. I think that's bizarre because I don't have that fear. But this is one of the best ways to get over it. Go to
really, you can't notice that about you at all. You seem so shy. You're such a wallflower.
Right. Yeah. The number one fear on surveys is public speaking. Number 2 is death. So people are scared of public speaking more than dying. This will help you get over that, especially you introverts that are bad at it. Go check it out. DeanLewisComedy.com.
Yeah.
DeanLewisComedy.com.
Well, it's actually Dean at DeanLewisComedy.com. DeanLewis. So Dean at DeanLewisComedy.com. That'll connect you with the email. And we'll talk and get you guys, all your listeners, to come out on a Monday night for the class at the Addison Improv. And then by June, you'll be doing a set on that stage. And James, are you still in the game? Are you still doing stand-up? I know you got so much else going on because I always thought you were great, very funny.
I write just for the show now. I don't do jokes on stage. I just do them on the radio.
Yeah. Okay. Well, still love working with you, and let's bring in your non-PC material to the class because we don't really edit.
All right. Yeah. Hey, just lean on that guilt a little more. I might get back on stage. Thank you very much, Dean Lewis. Coming up next, stories from WeatherCon on The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.